For most of human history, dogs were something other than pets. Not companions. Not loyal friends waiting patiently by the door. They were something else entirely. And more importantly, the story we tell ourselves about dogs may be backwards. Because it's easy to believe that humans domesticated dogs. That we took wild wolves and shaped them into something softer, safer, obedient. But what if that's not what happened? What if, quietly, over thousands of years, dogs were shaping us? Long before cities, before farms, before permanent homes, humans lived in small, moving groups. They hunted. They gathered. They survived day to day. And they were not alone. Across the same landscapes, cold tundras, open plains, dense forests, another hunter moved in parallel. Wolves. They were fast. Coordinated. Social. They hunted in packs, communicated with precision, and relied on each other to survive. In many ways, they were not so different from us. But there was one crucial difference. Humans used tools. Wolves used instinct. And that difference created an opportunity. At some point, no one knows exactly when, a few wolves began doing something unusual. Instead of avoiding humans, they moved closer. Not aggressively. Not suddenly. But cautiously. Drawn by something simple: food. Human camps left behind scraps. Bones. Waste. Easy calories compared to the uncertainty of the wild. For a wolf, this was a dangerous decision. Get too close, and you risk death. Stay too far, and you miss an opportunity. So only a certain kind of wolf made that choice. The calmer ones. The less aggressive. The ones willing to tolerate humans, just a little more than the others. And that small difference changed everything. Over time, those wolves survived better. They didn't have to hunt as hard. They didn't have to roam as far. Generation after generation, the boldest, not the strongest, moved closer. And humans noticed. At first, probably with suspicion. Then curiosity. Because something interesting was happening. The wolves lingering near camps weren't attacking. They were watching. And occasionally, they were helping. Predators stayed away from areas where wolves were present. Strange noises at night were easier to detect. Leftover scraps disappeared, keeping camps cleaner. Without realizing it, humans were benefiting. And so, slowly, tolerance formed. Not friendship. Not yet. Just mutual advantage. This is where the story usually says humans took control. That we selected wolves, bred them, and trained them. But beneath that story, something crucial is missing. The wolves that stayed close to humans were already selecting themselves. They chose proximity. They chose tolerance. They chose us. And in doing so, they began changing. Over generations, those wolves became different. Their bodies softened. Their faces became more expressive. Their behavior shifted. They paid attention to humans in ways no other animal did. They learned to read gestures. To follow eye movement. To anticipate intention. Not because we taught them. Because it benefited them to understand us. But here's where things get interesting. As they adapted to us, we adapted to them. Humans began relying on these animals. For protection. For tracking. For hunting. A human with a proto-dog could detect danger earlier, hunt more efficiently, survive longer. And so, groups with dogs had an advantage. Which marked the beginning of a quiet but powerful change. Human behavior started changing around dogs. We became more social. Because dogs thrived in cooperative environments. We became more communicative. Because dogs responded to signals, tone, and emotion. We became more emotionally expressive. Because dogs could read and react to those emotions. In a way, dogs rewarded certain human traits. And over thousands of years, those traits became stronger. Compare that to wolves. Wolves required coordination within their own species. Dogs, however, learned to coordinate with us. And in doing so, they pulled us into a new kind of relationship. Not just human to human, but human to animal. Eventually, agriculture emerged. Settlements formed. Civilizations grew. And dogs came with us. Guarding livestock. Protecting homes. Traveling alongside humans across continents. But something had already been set in motion long before farms and cities. A partnership that neither side fully controlled. Today, it looks simple. A dog waits by the door. Watches your face. Follows your voice. It feels like obedience. But look closer. Dogs are incredibly skilled at reading humans, often better than we read each other. They understand pointing gestures. They respond to emotional tone. They anticipate routines with uncanny precision. And humans? We adjust constantly for them. We change our schedules. Our homes. Our language. We speak in softer tones. We simplify commands. We build entire environments around their needs. This is not a one-sided relationship. It never was. What changed over time is obvious. Wolves became dogs. Wild hunters became companions. But what didn't change is just as important. Dogs are still social strategists. They still observe, interpret, and respond. They still shape behavior just more subtly now. And maybe that's the real story. Dogs didn't conquer humans with strength. They didn't dominate through force. They integrated. Quietly. Patiently. Effectively. They became useful, then necessary, then loved. So when your dog looks at you, tilting its head, reading your face, waiting for a response, it might feel like you're in control. But that connection, that bond, was built over tens of thousands of years. Not just by human decisions, but by animals that learned exactly how to fit into our world. And in the process, reshape it. Dogs didn't just adapt to human civilization. They helped create it. And somewhere along the way, the line between who domesticated who became a lot less clear. Which might explain something strange. You don't just own a dog. You adjust your life around it. You change your behavior for it. You understand it. And it understands you. Almost perfectly. And if a species can quietly influence your behavior, your emotions, your daily routines, without ever needing to dominate you, you have to wonder, who really domesticated who?